So Drop is, it's a few things. It's a food hub, it's a distribution center, it's an access point for local producers to get their products to the market, to not only our grocery store, but our community partners, which are restaurants, schools, nonprofits, and members of the food co-op. And basically it's a website, and it's a website where producers store their information on their growing practices, on the story of where the food comes from, and they post their products so that it's available to our community partners and our store buyers, and they can order it. Right now there's 2 order cycles per week. So we've been operating Drop since the beginning of 2012 when we moved into our new location that we have in downtown Reno. If you guys haven't been there, come check it out. It's right by Wingfield Park on Court Street. We just launched a new website August of this last summer, and we're still working on the website and putting in all the bells and whistles, and now that the main growing season has come, has winded down quite a bit, then we have time to make it pretty and put a lot of content and then connect the story of where the food is coming from. And one of the things that we really want to see happen is being able not only to deliver to our customers of Drop, but also to go around the food shed and pick it up. And that's how we define what is local at the co-op. It's what's growing in our food shed. And here it is on the corner here. And it's based off of the 3 closest river systems that we have here, the Carson, the Truckee, and the Walker River. One thing that we have never done yet, because we didn't have everything in place, our infrastructure setup, is doing any marketing. Right now we have about 100 community partners. That means there's restaurants, schools, other businesses that order through the co-op. We have about 10 to 12 that order the produce on a regular basis, but we've never reached out to the wider community. And so that's something that we look forward to finishing our website this winter and then marketing. So how it works for customers, here's a screenshot of our shop page right here. And as you can see, it's quite basic right now, but there will be pictures involved and more, just making it more pretty and interactive and things like that. But basically they sign up and shop. It only takes a couple of minutes. They can learn about the farms and producers. Once we build out our farm pages this summer, or this winter, then you'll be able to go to each farm page, like Latin Farms, and go see their history of their farm, what they're growing, where they get their seeds, how they get their water, things like that. And then as many pictures or details that they want to put, as well as all of the products they have posted available for sale through Drop. The customers will also have pages as well, so if you want to see what Compo is all about, you can go to their page and then you can see what they've ordered for that week if you want to really support local food and see who's serving it.
So with economic development, we work with companies outside of the state, also internationally, try to work with them on considering Nevada as a location to set up operation. The goal is to help diversify the Nevada food and agriculture industry, also create more commerce, create more jobs. Export training, we do export training seminars through our department. Also, USADA will do exporting seminars where we'll send in a guest speaker, help cover the cost for that, to do trainings for companies, and then also branded seminars where they will come through and tell you about their program and how you can get up to $300,000 a year in promoting your exports overseas. So with export assistance through our division, we will work with you one-on-one. So if you come in, you've got your product, and okay, I've heard about exporting, tell me about it. We can tell you just very basics about exporting, how companies initially go through the process of getting their products overseas. We can look at your business plan, if you're trying to get funding from an investor or through like the World Export Bank, we can see if that makes sense and work with you through that. We'll do international market research. We've got access to some pretty broad databases, and we can show you where products are going, what countries are importing your specific product, do they have a U.S. brand preference, are they what are they purchasing those products for? So we can sit down with you one-on-one and spend hours and go through that process with you. From there, we can help work with you and foreign ag service and find buyers and importers in these different locations to meet with to try to make this process easier and make it happen for you. We provide trade show support, outbound trade missions, and inbound trade mission support also. The trade mission and outbound trade mission is where you go overseas and you do one-on-one business-to-business meetings. It'll be with multiple companies, and it's basically like a speed dating for businesses, you could say. Inbound trade missions is similar, but you're located here in the States in a certain area, and you'll be at a hotel room, and you'll have your table set up with a tabletop display, and we'll bring the buyers to you, so it makes it easier for the U.S. food and ag producers to start looking at getting into exports. Our Buy in Nevada program, we started this January of this year. We've got about 150 members so far. And the governor asked us to create a brand to help promote food and agriculture products in the state. We were one of the only states that didn't have a state-managed brand like this. So he wanted us to step it up and create something like this. So our goal is to market Nevada food and agriculture companies locally, nationally, and internationally. So to pick on honey again, if you go to Singapore and you go to a store there, you might see a bottle of honey for $40. And next to that honey, we'll see a picture of the producer with their bio. So buyers overseas, they want to see they know the Western products with agriculture are high-end and that they're healthy for their families. Their disposable incomes are going up, so they're wanting to pay more for that. And in paying more for that, they want to see where their product is coming from. So by seeing the farmer or the producer and their bio, they feel that they have more of a relationship with that product. So we also want the Buy Nevada program to be a one-stop shop for consumers to see who the Nevada producers are and to be able to get a hold of them and find out how to get their products. Also a business-to-business connection. So if one company is bringing in half a truckload of sugar, but they're paying for a full truckload, they might see another company that also is bringing in half a truckload of sugar. They could team up, cover those expenses, and have that truckload paid for cheaper than what they were doing before. So below you can see some of the different participating companies. I'm going to go a bit quicker, I think I'm running out of time. I'll talk to you about WUSADA. It's the Western United States Agricultural Trade Association, two of their programs, and then a bit about the Specialty Crop Block Grant. So WUSADA represents the Western 13 states. They are considered an SRTG. It's a state trade and regional trade group. And any company within the Western region can qualify for WUSADA if they are a food and agriculture company, their product is 50% grown in the U.S., and they're considered a small business by SBA. Their mission is helping to develop, promote, and enhance international markets for Western food and agriculture products. And the reason we participate with them is they've got a great history of return on investment using federal dollars to help support these programs. So there's 86 organizations through the Market Access Program, which is funded through the Farm Bill, that participates in this program, and they've got a 30-to-1 return on investment. But WUSADA, with the Western region, they've got, in 2011, found that they have a 93-to-1 return on investment. So companies that are participating in the program have shown huge successes throughout the years with that.
Agriculture. But also we've done programs for urban and small farms, and I'll go through those a little bit on CSAs. Basically, it's kind of interesting. We used to have CSAs, used to buy produce at the farmer's market in the 19th century. I grew up in the town of Arlington, Texas, and I always remember the local grocer, and then the A&P showed up. And all of a sudden we had supermarkets, and you know how you think about, I'll show you how old I am, but you go in the 50s and how supermarkets took over. And now we've kind of come back around. We still do supermarkets, we still do Walmarts, but the buying and selling of farmers markets have come back because people are more aware. People have higher incomes nowadays, and they are demanding non-standard crops or non-standard goods, so they're looking for specialty crops. And that becomes something where we have to look and train people to farmers how to meet and how to sell. People are very interested in health. But I think the encouraging thing I heard from Brock today is that we're also going into the casinos. The people who our tourist industry making Nevada products, especially cropping itself, making it on the fruit plate. I always remember I first came here, I worked with a guy named Bill Chapman, some of you were ag econ remember him. And he talked about when he first came here, one Thanksgiving, Rayleigh's were selling Fallon turkeys. Fallon didn't grow any turkeys until 1950. They stopped selling Fallon turkeys. But still back in the 1980s, they were selling Fallon turkeys just by the name of it. So sometimes brands are kind of interesting how those local. But it's also for the small people, it's opportunities for part-time work. People want to do that. People want to be in agriculture. And I think for us, if we're in agriculture, it's very beneficial that people learn about agriculture. And we get advocates out of agriculture from this. Challenges for large, like I said, technology transfer is a very big one. You have to be on the top of things. Because those who adopt technologies, we do that. A lot of things that, see Stacy M here does a lot with our programs, and Carol Bishop and Malika Landis that works for me. They do a lot on farm and ranch records, how to keep books, how to know what they mean, those kinds of things. Marketing is very big, and we talked about export markets. How do you do that? But also with markets, with farmers, it's also how to use commodity futures. Sometimes we use those and how to use those things. And impacts of market government changes. Changes in grazing fees, changes in grazing allotments. All of us, our surface waters, changes in water allocations. What do you do with that? And then could also, if you're in a basin, you could have your basin closed. So water technologies and how government makes changes in export trades have a big impact. And then the agribusiness, huge agribusiness. That's what we're seeing develop in Nevada now, how we can take part of that. Challenges for small, basically changing the food market, how people are, looking at food, how they demand it. People are very health conscious these days, and they're demanding different types. And so what you have is as a small producer, how can you make those changes and how you can, bring those in, line those up with marketing. Farmers markets are very good because they keep dollars in their local region. A&P is a corporate, and that corporate money goes outside the state. We lose that. So one of the things of this is it also keeps local monies going. Opportunities for part-time or full-time producers. It builds a cadre of people who are interested in agriculture, but also what people want to do. Consumers benefit tremendously, health-wise. People are very concerned about health, and so basically that's one of the things we try to teach, and then teach agriculture to the public. I know Rick Lavin has ag tourism, has people coming out. Now we have programs kind of teach people what do you have to do with ag tourism. There's a lot of things you have to be aware of. But it also builds an understanding of the economy. Now some of the programs we have are herds and harvest and risk management. Herds and harvest is something that we do to help producers become entrepreneurs and businesses. We show many workshops, but let's see if I can do this right. Okay. Basically, it's dealing with different types of programs. We have many workshops and we do different ones. One of the ones we had was on alfalfa hay and how you produce during the drought. We may continue to have this drought, so how to be better producers, how to bring science out to the local people and how to become better producers that way. The update on the impacts that we've done a lot on Nevada dairies, how that would impact, and now livestock, but also how to market, especially the export markets and local markets, how do you do that? And risk management is another thing we've done on how to help producers with risk, with price risk and all that. And we even teach programs to high school students, get programs for that. And like I said, there's different kinds of risk in agriculture. There's production risk, drought, how do you negotiate that? There's marketing risk. Marketing is how you hit broad, you be one of the best producers you ever were, but all of a sudden the price is at the lowest it ever has. How can you manage through that? And also for the CSAs, how do you market your product to have the best return? Financial risk, interest rates. You can have that. We are now coming out of quantitative easing. What does that mean? We don't know as economists because it's so, inflation kicks up, all of a sudden, back in 1980, we had an inflation rate of 15%, had interest rates of 15%. Now we got close to less than zero. Now, all of a sudden that will change. You make production further, how you can incorporate those things. That's what we do. Legal risk. If you're in ag tourism, what other things do you need to have in that to mitigate your legal impacts of somebody getting hurt? Environmental risk. Again, many of our ranchers and farmers faced with drought, they have cuts in their BLM, they have cuts in their water, but also for the CSAs, environmental risk on what's organic. And then human resource risk is basically people who are working. We're getting more and more, we're an older country, people are getting older. How do you estate plan? A very big thing because people would like to keep their things in. So what are the groups of types of programs we do? Agricultural budgets. We do a lot of ag budgets, and so ag budgets tell us how you perform. Now we do these on representative farms and ranches. And you can put your numbers in there and see how far off or how far different you are. That's what these ag budgets and people like Carol Bishop and Malika Landis work with producers on doing that to give you information. Farm and ranch estate transition planning, very big, because we're becoming an older group. The whole world's getting older, about 2% every year. So how do you do this? How do you transfer? And what happens if your sons and daughters don't want to farm and ranch? What happens on that? Native American programs, this is something that Stacy does, a lot of Stacy M, a lot of with the Native Americans. They're unique operations they have, and unique situations. They have a hoop house they've been doing in Pyramid Lake, trying to help them with the most. Business strategies, again, some people have ideas on business. This is kind of like what we work with also with Nevada Small Business, to give people ideas on business strategies so you need to be aware of what's going to happen, be aware, because you can't go bankrupt. And, it's kind of like you build it and they will come. I have a lot of people do that. And I'm so sure I'm going to make $1 million. Yeah, that's why there's a billion Bill Gates or other people around. Making $1 million is tough. And so you have to be realistic and have a process, have your budgets and everything properly done. Cottage foods, and I know Carol Bishop's been working on this. I would say, I should have changed that, new legislation. Whenever the state comes up every 2 years with new legislation that impacts agriculture, could impact what you do as a CSA or others, what are those? How can you take advantage? And then our ag business outlook is something we're trying to start doing, is looking at future ag prices. What's happening? If we're in for another drought, what will that do with the price of beef and the price of alfalfa and other things? And what does that mean to Nevada agriculture? So basically, this is just a thank you. Basically what we've done here is talking about is we have several programs with Cooperative Extension. And Cooperative Extension has a booth out there, and they have several programs that talk about marketing and that we do studies and things for the local people, for everybody, to keep up what's going on in the federal government, state and local, also what's going on with the economy and what's going on with natural resources, so that you can handle risk. Risk is something that makes people go bankrupt because, when you take your introductory econ, you have supply and demand, easily drawn. But do we know what the price, are you fooled right now? What price of gas has dropped precipitously? Who would guess that 6 months ago? 6 months from now, it might go up. And so this is one of the things we try to do, is try to understand and get some education into risk and how to mitigate.